Welcome back to the Cassidus for the final game of the placement series, both North America and Europe now. And we're going to be bringing you Bipolar Method up against Cringe Crew. Both these teams as well, Tolly, heading over, looking to go to Worlds. You guys can go too if you head over to hi-rezexpo.com. You can buy your tickets and come join us for some fantastic fun over 4 days.
Join us in some dancing parties and some fiestas.
Yeah.
Do some shenanigans with us.
Clown fiestas especially Randozo's making it even better. But we'll find out about that at the Super Regionals, which will be coming up. And first of all, as you can see on the screen as well, from September 16th to the 18th, it's 2 times experience worshippers and favor when playing in a party of 2. I just need to find a single friend now then. That's not too bad. What's this?
Oh.
You're going to hold my hand.
I was holding your hand, but then the camera wasn't on us.
Mine is 50% off, however, on all Chinese skins and voice packs, so make sure you head over there as well. Lots of promotions this week, Tully, especially with Paladins coming out as well. There's crazy things going on.
I was playing a little bit earlier in between sets just to get some more favor, you know? Because you can never have enough favor, honestly.
Yeah. You want to get as much
Buy
favor
all
as
the
possible.
skins with a favor.
Well, let's go into this set then, Tolly. It's the final one. Bipolar Method, guaranteed #1 seed after Energy, splitting with Cyclone earlier on. But the main attention I want to focus on here is Cringe Crew. Now, they have opportunities today.
Absolutely. Right now, they're currently at 6 points. Fantastic have 7, but Fantastic have the head-to-head against Cringe Crew. So Cringe Crew, if they find 1 win only here, then it's not going to be enough to advance. They need to find both wins to get above Fantastic. And on top of that, they're going to hit 4th seed if they get the 9th point that they need, because Dignitas, I think, are still at 8.
Yeah, so they jump above Dignitas as well. So Cringe Crew needs a 2-0 here. Obviously, Bipolar Method may not be interested in letting them do that as well. Obviously, they're going to play to win, as per usual. We'll see how this one goes in picks and bans. Cringe Crew will be first pick, first ban in this set.
More than likely, they're going to try to first pick Terra. That's what a lot of teams have been leaning towards, either leaving Terra and Fafnir open, picking one, leaving the other open, and nice little interesting counter pick, or counter ban rather, against Bipolar Method, recognizing that they really like Kabrakan. It's a flex pick between 3 different positions.
It is, but it's not something we've seen too much, especially because of some of the nerfs he took as well. Tolly feels more like a throwaway ban than anything else, unless it's something that counters Terra. I'm just thinking outside the box here that maybe Terra has issues against that. I'm not sure. Don't think so.
That's a good opportunity to try to shut down Terra, because she'll dash in, and then if you can ulti her out during her dash escape, then you can lock her down. But she's pretty tanky. You don't really want to focus too many abilities on her.
Well, that throwaway ban does leave a lot of things open. Nemesis Ao Kwang taken out. Bipolar Method have the option here. Expecting Fafnir more than likely. No, it will be the Kronos instead, taking that one away from Shaggyshenk.
If you leave Fafnir open, then that means if Cringe Crew picks up Terra, then at least you get Fafnir. You can synergize into a team fight objective pick where you can get Freya or Kronos. Well, Kronos is banned, so you can get the Freya here with the Fafnir and look for that mid-game team fights.
Good call on the Freya. We'll see if Bipolar Method look for that themselves now after locking in Fafnir already. But maybe they'll look for the mid lane Lawbster. I mean, they've gone with that route before with the likes of Isis and Raijin, but it's going to be Susano instead for the jungler, QvoFred.
Picking up Susano here means that they're not really worried about Cringe Crew picking up Freya, because if you have a Terra in the dual lane, you're trying to be super aggressive from the beginning of the game, and Freya doesn't have the best laning phase, so you want to try to get like Uller on her, maybe even Neith or Sol for some kill potential.
Well, on top of that as well, Cringe Crew have gone to Ratatoska quite a lot this split as well. Repikas really shown it off for himself. We'll see if he ends up going back to that, but the Freya does get taken away from Bipolar Method, and I think it's wise to do that as well. You can't give them that combo.
That's true. Now, it's going to hurt their laning phase, unless that's a Freya jungle, but either way, that's going to hurt Cringe Crew's dual laning phase if that is a Freya. But more importantly, it takes that option away from Bipolar Method. Now they don't have that late game magical hunter to synergize with this Fafnir.
Well, you mentioned potential Freya jungle. It's not something we see too often, and with Bipolar Method banning out Fenrir here, it's clear they don't think it's going to be jungle either. Jingwei was locked in, so this matchup in dual lane is going to be Freya Terra versus Fafnir Jingwei. Well, we've seen the Terra Jingwei dominate the Freya Fafnir, but I don't know how this one's going to play out.
It's also good to protect the Freya. If she gets poked out, you're going to use the Obelisk just for the little bit of sustain. You have a lot of control with the root and the stun option, so good peel protection from Terra to help Freya transition safely from that early laning phase.
Well, Isis is starting to climb back in a little bit more in competitive play just lately. Lawbster's going to go back to it here with the Susano. Nice amount of CC on the side of Bipolar Method here. A lot more raw damage, I want to say, on the side of Cringe Crew, but they do have a bit of global presence with that World Weaver and the Terra Ultimate as well, combining with that.
Really good synergy between Susano and Isis, just early game pressure all around. Once there's some team fights, you're looking for the pull from Susano into the knockup from Jingwei, which is going to set up the Isis Spirit Ball from a distance.
That's Athena jungle again. We've not seen that in a little... Well, we saw it in North America, but we've seen it in Europe here. I'm certain that is going to be Athena jungle. There's no way you're going to put Athena in mid lane or Terra in mid lane. The Freya and Neith have to go in those roles. And on top of that, it's Repikas as well. Repikas has been very well known for playing in the Athena back in the day.
I think this is a good opportunity for Cringe Crew showing Athena jungle because you have Amaterasu who struggles early on. So they're expecting Xaliea to be very aggressive against Zyrhoes. And then you can just have Repikas use those global ultimates and bail him out. And especially with the World Weaver as well, they can find a lot of kills in the soul lane.
When you talk about Bellona here as well, Tolly, I'm just looking at this one. They've picked up Bellona, and it's not something we see too often these days. A lot of people on Reddit as well have been saying, where has Bellona gone? Why has she not been getting picked, Tolly?
It's been a good option to pick Bellona because of all these magical hunters against Freya. A lot of soul laners that I've been speaking to prefer other soul laners because of the way they transition in team fights in the mid to late game. They feel like they have more control with these other gods, especially with Robin. You can bait more abilities. You have the overhead kick, and you have your ultimate, whereas Bellona only has that Eagle's Rally to really disjoint any abilities.
Well, he's going Death's Toll in this matchup, as is Zyrhoes here, expected to weather the storm in terms of the damage output that's going to go out in that lane. And we did see at the start there, Cringe Crew did the loop-de-loop around the map just to look for a potential pick and get their wards down at vital places as well for these rotations.
It's really important to look for that 5-man group because on the side of Cringe Crew, they have a Neith route, they have another route onto Terra, so if anyone gets caught out of position that doesn't have a really good escape, they're going to die more than likely. So a nice grouping up by Cringe Crew. Also, they're having a Wrath onto Repikas means that they're going to be able to accelerate their process to do speed to blue, as well as protecting themselves from any potential invade from Bipolar.
And I was going to say totally about invades as well. You love invading you. If you see a weak matchup, you want to go in there. I know you as a player, you've always said this. I'm surprised we're not seeing them do that.
Yes, against an Athena Amaterasu, that's not the strongest level 1 composition. A Bellona Susano has a lot of damage output, pretty decent mobility on top of this. So you're against a Guardian and an Amaterasu at level 1. That would give Bipolar a really good opportunity, so that's why Repikas did go for this Wrath start.
And maybe Bipolar Method thought they were going to take the Wrath themselves, so they back away. So already, Repikas will go to the solo lane here to soak the first wave of experience. Great wave clear early on in the game as an Athena, especially if you do use the dash like he did there to focus down those minions. And now they can rotate straight for the Fire Elementals as Bipolar Method already on the right-hand Harpies.
Xaliea making the MIA call, but it's too late already, getting the right side mid Harpies, no problem for both QvoFred and Lawbster, and now Repikas making the rotation, just waiting in mid as Kero.
Yeah, obviously with the mid lane coming in as well and Kero being there, you may see Bipolar Method go for the left-hand Harpies as well here. They do have lane dominance and hitting level 3 earlier on, which means Cringe Crew are going to be a little bit behind in terms of experience for the time being, but it's okay.
And that's why they picked the Susano-Isis combination. They have really great lane clear, they have good objective clear with these mid Harpies early on. You can't really contest an Isis Susano.
Double wall, and Shaggy's going to get a lot of free poke off. Funballer going to agility away. Trixtank trying to stutter step, but instead eating a lot more poke for that. Gets the hammer down, but the route to follow up going to force the underhanded tactics from Trix, which I guess was on cooldown. Otherwise, he could have just done that in the first instant.
Taking more poke than he probably wanted to. He still has meditation to stay in the laning phase quite a while, having the mana pods just to be able to poke. And I like what Trixtank is doing. He's moving to the left, baiting out Shaggyshenk's pulses, so therefore he's not using it to really clear, but Terra has so much clear herself.
Yeah, I mean, Terra can keep pushing this one on as well, Tolly, just to keep the pressure on him. Now they're looking at Trix one more time. A lot of pulses coming out from Shaggy, more blocking, and Funballer is trying to absorb some of that, but the pulse does go through and still deal damage.
You know it's not a good time for you if you're forcing your Hunter to absorb those shots for your Guardian, but now Shaggyshenk having to retreat as the wave does come out. It's just going to be a lot of poking out between these two guys in the dual lane.
I'm surprised by how far forward Bipolar keep coming here in the side. And Athena's going to ult in already. Already the early level 5 coming out from Repikas, but they're not going to find anything off that one. Like the idea, totally, just wasn't going to happen.
That was a really quick ultimate. He didn't even have any items quite yet to get the damage off that he needed to. Maybe there was a communication error because they thought that Trixtank's underhanded tactics were down, so they wanted to get that confirmed damage. And the Defender of Olympus does a lot. You have to respect it.
It really does in the early stages, yeah. I mean, he's got to confirm it though, which is always one of the issues there for that. But with the Athena rotation coming in, he did hit level 5, now goes back to base with the Wrath on again. Like the idea, just execution was a little bit difficult. Although they did get the meditation out of Trixtank, so it does help that lane a little bit more.
I was expecting more rotations into the solo lane. You know, you're baiting out the Bellona versus the Amaterasu matchup. You can silence out the bludgeon, but at the same time, just holding the hammer alone will out-clear the Amaterasu, and that allows you to max out your Scourge just to get into the mid-game team fights to counter Shaggyshenk.
Completely agree with that. Looking to focus Xaliea could be a really good idea for Cringe Crew here, especially because they've got the World Weaver from mid lane from Neith and the EmilZy ultimate on the Terra's Blessing. They can combine nicely with an Athena roll onto Amaterasu that could put Xaliea in a world of hurt if they recognize that. But then again, Bipolar Method, they can look at gold then.
All they need to to do is just allow Zyrhoes to transition safely from the early game. You want to get this Amaterasu in these team fights as quickly as possible. As long as she's not dying, not losing any farm, then Zyrhoes should be able to do more work in these team fights moving forward.
Is a little bit of a miscommunication here in Cringe Crew's duo lane. I've noticed it 2 times already now that EmilZy and Shaggyshenk aren't on the same page about understanding how Terra's going to interact with Freya in terms of the monolith and the walls too, because they will block shots. And we've seen a couple of shots missed there from Shaggy just because monolith was in the way at one point where EmilZy put it, and then the wall. Repikas in the jungle though under pressure.
It's going to be a nice knock-up onto Repikas. He doesn't have his ultimate, but he has his dash.
And he will get away for now, but still continuing the chase with Qvo for a second, but with Terra's blessing coming through from EmilZy, Repikas will be able to get away from this for the time being. Only Qvo's ultimate expended for the supports from Cringe Crew.
Just getting the right side Harpies, a nice little small victory. Zyrhoes' dash gets intercepted, so those archers will stay alive for a little bit longer. Xaliea doing a good job being aggressive, and with that dash confirms the bludgeon.
Great bludgeon, but around the corner comes Repikas now, and immediately the disengage from Xaliea. Zyrhoes doesn't really want any of this just because of how low he is in terms of health. He could have ulted, but immediate turnaround from Xaliea could have gotten even worse for him with the Eagles rally.
Not much mana on the side of Zyrhoes. He doesn't want to use an ability because then he wouldn't have enough mana for his ultimate. So Xaliea is still being really aggressive. I like this idea. You're forcing 2 members on the right, and that can allow potentially more aggression on the left for Bipolar Method.
And Xaliea poking out 2 there on that right side means that blue buff is available for them to look to invade Bipolar Method if they so choose. At the moment though, have to clear out midway first of all before they can even rotate. EmilZy here to put a bit of pressure on. We're going to get hammered in the face nicely there by Trix. Unfortunately, didn't cancel out the second dash.
Not at all, and the blue buff is up. We see Xaliea in the lane. There is no teleport available for Zyrhoes, but playing very safe, respecting the globals out of the side of Cringe Crew between that World Weaver and the Athena ultimate, just electing to go for his own blue instead.
Well, we've mentioned Reinforced Greaves a couple of times this game, and in this one, especially on the side of Cringe Crew, 3 members with it already, jungler, solo laner, and the Guardian, but to be fair, they are all Guardians of Warriors anyway.
And that's going to allow these backline between the Freya and the Neith on the side of Cringe Crew just to get off the damage that they need without having to worry about too much trouble.
Actually, yeah, I've just seen the backs coming out from Bipolar Method as well. Even they've got an Isis in the mid lane taking these as well. So EU really favouring them. We saw Eager favouring them yesterday as well. But more and more teams from EU looking at investing heavily into them.
It makes sense on the side of against Bipolar why you would want this option. You know, you have the Susano Jetstream, you have the Isis Wingus, you have Fafnir ultimate that has a decent amount of damage over time. On the side of Cringe Crew, there's not that much damage over time, with the exception of the root from Terra that goes after the heal, it goes into the damage over time.
Yeah, the dot effects are going to go through. EmilZy's hanging around in that corner there, not to actually try and do anything because he's not got blink to get over a wall, just to soak the experience through the wall because you can reach it as it gets cleared out from that angle.
Both teams just kind of jostling for a position around those left side mid Harpies, but it's not going to respawn for another minute. And I like what Funballer's doing there, just waiting in the winds to kind of force the communication, be like, hey, Funballer's missing.
Well, they're going to go aggressive on Kero there as Trix jumps in to avoid the root. EmilZy going to get hit by the Spirit Ball, but not a lot of damage onto him. As you can tell, he's also got Purification. Don't forget, sorry, not Purification, those tank boots that will come in handy and give some extra stats.
Cringe Crew securing their own speed, and right now Xaliea getting those elementals. They're doing a good job controlling a small pace of the game right now. It's just getting about a 1,500 goal lead without any invades.
Not that bad from Bipolar Method at all, really, especially the experience as well. He's approaching 1,000 as speed buff is spawned on this right-hand side, but Cringe Crew, advantage in mid lane here. The red buff hasn't spawned yet, however, for Bipolar Method, so there's not a lot Cringe Crew could look to do at this moment in time.
But after clearing mid-wave, they're immediately going towards the right side jungle. There's nothing for them to take, but it was a bait because they're going to be able to grab Lawbster.
Lawbster going to drop his heal very quickly, but he's still going to survive for the time being. EmilZy under the tower. World Weaver comes through. There's not enough damage to pick up Lawbster. He'll live, and now the aggression is on from Bipolar Method. It's Kero in trouble, and Qvo gets first blood and gets out again. The turnaround.
It was the reinforced Greaves that kept Lawbster alive. Circle protection doing its work. The protections, the heal. Oh man, so clutch for Lawbster to escape that one.
Great start for Bipolar Method then after that. I love what Cringe Crew did though. The commitment onto Lawbster. I mean, forcing his heal very, very early on using that circle of protection. He would have loved to have channeled it, but he was so scared of dying he had to.
It was a nice bait because the fact that Cringe Crew cleared out mid-wave right away and they feigned pressure towards the right side jungle just for a split second, instantly capitalizing on Lawbster, who went forward just to use the Wingus to clear the mid-wave. It was a good little mind game between these two teams.
The feint pressure is what I really like there, and that's one thing you can really do with an Athena as well. That dash able to be channeled and just held on to for a long time. Zero still being pressured by Xaliea, as I should expect in this matchup for now, but approaching level 10 should be able to start swinging for the fences a little bit more now.
And with Gold Fury being heavily warded right now by Bipolar Method with that first blood. They have about a 2,000 gold lead, a little bit more. They should be able to start grouping up once Funballer gets a few more levels online, because they have really good team fighting ultimates between Lawbster and Trixtank.
Well, you do hear that ultimate going off at the moment, and it is on the side of EmilZy, who uses it to help out Zyrhoes, as Repikas now having to ult left-hand side to defend his Freya carry as well. So far, so good for Cringe Crew, just using these globals to like stop the aggression from Bipolar Method.
Also force the purification out of Shaggyshenk, so they should be able to keep forcing team fights around the left-hand side. They have the vision, they have the relic advantage, so why not keep putting the pressure?
Well, Repikas is around this left-hand corner here at the moment, but Bipolar Method think he's around this area, and that's why they're setting up one more time, potentially. But I think they realize he's backed away, so they're just going to go back to farming once more, or even potentially a goal for
I think they saw Repikas back, and the fact that his ultimate's not available, it's going to allow Bipolar Method to start this up. They have Lawbster's ultimate.
And now the goal view is getting very low here, and he's going to actually get reset for a second. Pull back in again as the fight continues. EmilZy being focused, getting pulled in by Quvo, knocked up by Quvo, silenced by Lawbster, and Quvo gets credit for the kill, and immediately Bipolar Method tried to disengage.
But now going to get locked down with that World Weaver. QvoFred from the backside of Zyrhoes, finding the cleanup.
One kill so far the way of Cringe Crew, looking for a little bit more, and Xaliea gets taunted into danger, force the Eagles rally away. Cringe Crew now 4 members strong in this mid lane, going to default back towards this Gold Fury one more time. They have plenty of sustain with the gods they have here, Toli, and the boys at Bipolar Method, they should know what's going on.
Trixtank did the same exact thing that Radford did, and the Gold Fury going the way of Cringe Crew. Wrath on Repikas secures that one, and yeah, going back in that earlier Gold Fury attempt by Bipolar Method, they used the ultimate on the Fafnir, and that makes you immune for a split second, and he was the only one in the circle, so therefore Gold Fury not being able to hit Trixtank, instantly resetting, so therefore it also negates the ultimate from Lawbster.
And it also allowed Athena to get back in there as well, I think was the bigger point, because obviously he had to run all the way back with his ultimate being down there as well, and by doing that, that Wrath coming into play was the biggest reason that Bipolar Method looked for engaging and then disengaging afterwards.
It happens to the best of us. We saw Iraffer earlier on, I think it was 2 weeks ago that it happened, maybe last week, and then this time around against Trixtank, you know, the #1 seeded team. You know, that could be a little bit of a communication error where it's like you're expecting somebody still to be in that circle because you know that you're going to be immune frame, but at the same time you have to ulti that because they're going to contest you.
Agreed. I expected we were talking about maybe a lot of pressure onto Xaliea this game, but it seems to be Lawbster is the focused target so far from Repikas. Lots of taunts on the mid laner, but Lawbster doing a very good job of handling the situation without burning too much in terms of purification. But over and over again, we just see Repikas going and dashing, and EmilZy looking to follow up.
They have really good control between Repikas dash taunt into the root from Kero, but where's the damage coming from Lawbster? Sure, he's been only able to survive. You know, he has 0 deaths and 1 assist, but he doesn't have much follow-up damage from Susano every time the pull happens with that build.
He's going to lack a little bit of penetration in this build, especially with the shoes and a Medjar here, but he is working towards a Book of Toth by the looks of it as well, or potentially a Soul Weaver. I'd say Toth at this stage of the game though.
I like what Xaliea was doing there, body blocking that one Gladiator minion, getting off so many hits, forcing Zyrhoes to back now.
Shaggyshenk is going to get forced to be ulted by Repikas again. Did a good job of running away, but it also was used EmilZy's ultimate there. Terra's Blessing coming into play one more time, and this is what they do. Every time Bipolar Method look for a pick, 2 ultimates get used, and everybody survives.
And that's a great job by Bipolar Method. They're not overstaying, more importantly. They're getting what they need to get, and they're setting themselves up in the future. In about 45 seconds or less, they're probably going to continue on the left-hand side. Shaggyshenk has been a primary target the past 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, Witchblade now online for Xaliea in that solo lane as well on the Bellona. Very good item to deal with some of the team leads going to come up against this, mainly the Neith. As EmilZy going to get Spirit Board in the mid lane, but he'll be fine to sustain back up off the Monolith one more time. And going back to Xaliea here, I mean, working towards the Frostbound Hammer as well, trying to be a big influence in these team fights.
Witchblade, one of those items that is hybrid between physical and magical defense because it's a Freya that you're up against. It limits the attack speed, which is a big portion of her damage that comes online, especially against the Neith. It's not that much, but it's still something.
And it does hurt Amaterasu as well. I mean, obviously she wants to use her basic enhance to increase the amount of damage she can do in this engagement as well. But for the time being, he's also working the Witchblade anyway, Zyrhoes.
And it's going to be the Frostbound Hammer coming out of Xaliea. And with the Breastplate of Valor, though, for Zyrhoes, he's going to be able to out-trade Xaliea at this point. His aura's maxed out. He's able to get a 1-level advantage off of the nice cleanup kill earlier on.
I will say with Reinforced Greaves in this lane too, Totally, I think solo lane is going to die even less now in 1v1 battles, just because Reinforced Greaves do provide a lot.
Especially with the natural sustain, and now EmilZy trying to find some root here, but Funballer outside the circle. A lot of poke onto Shaggyshenk.
Funballer did a very good job there, just juking out the walls, then juking out the root, and then just walking away as if nothing happened. Meanwhile, Kvo just coming in to support his carry there, get some nice free damage off onto Shaggyshenk, who can heal it back up with the help of Monolith and the Pulse as well.
Just still boxing each other out in the soul lane. Obviously, Bellona having her Scourge for sustained, Zyrhoes having the stance switching auras with a lot of cooldowns now. Still doesn't have Witchblade completed yet. Both of these soul laners elected to go for the sprint option.
My question for you, Tully. Obviously, we watched Zyrhoes all this split as well, and he's adapted it into a solo laner here yourself, being a solo laner in the past. When you look at this matchup and how Zyrhoes has played so far this split, how's he been, getting himself into this role so far? Has he done a good job?
I would say so. He's made the nice transition. He's more of an aggressive, go-in style of player that we've seen from Fnatic in the previous splits, and this time around, this is a better role suited for his playstyle, where he wants to be able to make the plays, because in mid, you have to wait for your jungler mostly.
True. And then when he was in the jungle previously before that as well, I mean, he tried to make the plays there as well. I think that's kind of makes a lot of sense. So back to the solo lane he goes as well. Blue buff has respawned on a full wave for Zero to pick up on his way back from base after picking up that Witchblade. And the Gold Fury is about to respawn in 30 seconds time. So now it's a game of who's going to go for it this time round.
And this time it's going to be EmilZy, a level 12, whereas Trixtank still doesn't have the opportunity to pick up that second relic. So if Cringe Crew can group up, they should be able to have a nice little team fight off of that one advantage, as well as having the Wrath available onto Repikas.
I will say overall, even amounts of aggression so far this game from both the two teams. It felt like Cringe Crew started things off looking for the picks, and then Bipolar Method started to pick things up themselves. Really looking for Shaggyshenk over in this left-hand lane, which they've not really found just yet.
Kero hasn't backed yet for his own second relic. He's probably sitting on a lot of gold in hand. Can we look at his, yeah, he's sitting on 19, almost 2,000 gold.
Yeah, he's going to go back very soon just to make this worthwhile, Tully, doesn't it? Because if he doesn't go back, then he's just wasted gold in the inventory that's not supporting the team at all. Having
a fully finished Transcendence and the Warrior Tabby instead of the Ninja Tabby, still a nice idea because you're a Neith, you have the physical power, it synergizes very well off of your abilities.
When you see QvoFred has picked up Blink as his second relic and Trixtank with the Curse as well. Across the way, you can also see Sprint online for Zyrhoes, which is matched by Xalia's. And no Wrath, though, that came out from Bipolar Method here. They're just going to have to deal with Repikas this whole game.
If you kill Repikas, then you don't have to worry about the Wrath, theoretically, or at least if you can force him to back once his ultimate is on cooldown. A nice little stun.
Yeah, I love what EmilZy did there. He threw out the stun not to actually try and get any follow, but to cancel out the Wind Gust, reduce the amount of wave clear they can do.
Looks like Shaggyshenk getting the better end of Funballer, but he should be fine with his passive. He'll get back to left-hand side, but though, underneath is Kvo.
He's going to come in, put us some poke out, but Shaggy's not scared to trade. Now Athena's coming in too. Banish is perfect, so the dunk will connect. Is there going to be a top follow-up? Will Weaver coming through as well? Kvo's in trouble, and he can't get away from Shaggyshenk's ultimate, but Trixtank might be able to turn this one. However, he's on his own, so I don't think he's going to go in alone.
Not at all. EmilZy was there to back up Shaggyshenk, and unfortunately, QvoFred not respecting the damage follow-up off of that Neith World Weaver and the Pulse Irradiate combination, not using the Purification during the Whoop.
Well, but if you use it in the Whoop and then Athena comes down, he's going to get taunted anyway, so it's a rough situation to be in, but it pays off for Cringe Crew now as they look for their second Gold Fury this game. They still have Wrath available, I believe. Spirit Bulb connects with Repikas. Gold Fury gets Wrath and goes away. Cringe Crew, Eagles rally from Xaliea, going to focus onto Shaggyshenk, who doesn't have ultimate, but a good taunt from Repikas manages to bridge the gap and allow his boys room to get out.
And now Zyrhoes is here with his sprint, and he's here with his aura, allowing the rest of his team to just scatter. Bipolar Method, despite being down one man at the time, giving up Gold Fury, they could potentially look for a tower in middle because everybody did have to back. Instead, Lawbster's too low to really contest. They're just going to have to concede that gold and not get anything in return.
And Zero showed his experience there by staying in the mid lane on his own, because he could hold that for a little while under the tower against the storm of Bipolar Method that was going to come through. So they go back to their jungle, Bipolar Method, pick up their speed buff for Kvo, who did take a tumble there, so he's died twice, but also got 2 kills.
I love this build coming out of Repikas, just full-on tankiness. He wants to be that primary initiator, setting up Kero, setting up Shaggyshenk in the late game, and this is what you really need to do as a jungler. Have that different kind of stuff, because we haven't normally seen him play these Guardians ever.
Well, no,
in a while.
Quite a while. I mean, back in the days when he was on tank, he used to play quite a lot there. It was one of his go-tos, Repikas, there. In terms of the jungle, he provided that sort of potential to globally influence the map at all times, so he could actually be out of position and then correct that with that global ultimate.
I think we're going to start to see more Athenas or more Guardians in the jungle for this reason, because now you have more damage sources coming from your mid and hunter to go into this kind of glass cannon style. As long as you have sustain, whether it's Terra in support, whether it's Guan Yu in support, that allows you to continue on and get through that early laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed this a few times where we've seen like 2 hyper carries to an extent, or 2 hunters, and then there's 3 guardians, 3 warriors that have been a frontline body blockers to an extent that just allow them to get a lot of free damage off.
It could be the potential like tank meta necessarily with this reinforced greaves.
That's true.
The way it has been, like, and you want to have the.
Do you reckon Chins is going to come back in terms
Oh, absolutely.
of
More than likely. It's probably, it's Executioner into Aussie, I think, for Kero, but it should be the Chins afterwards.
Ooh, Shaggy's really going in on Funballer under the tower. He's gone to a tier 2, and Funballer gets soloed by the looks of it. There was no overalls using that. It's still mid lane pressure coming on from Cringe Crew.
QvoFred, though, he's looking for the return kill onto Shaggyshenk on the left-hand side, but he's taking too much damage.
And Will Weaver coming in as well. He's going to get blocked, and the pulse comes through. Shaggyshenk has stepped up today. He takes down 2. Got support on the second one, however. But now what a great play for Cringe Crew. Freya's getting online very, very quickly.
2-player advantage. They should be able to get 1 tower. We have Kero clearing out mid. He's going to back off once he sees Xaliea and Lawbster around the corner, but this leaves the left side completely exposed.
Yeah, they're going to get the tier 1 tower on that left because of that as well. And that's going to give them a bit more of a gold boon again. But Shaggyshenk here, totally, he's hitting critical mass very early in this game already.
He's already at 10,000 gold at the 19-minute mark, coming to 20. Going to get taunted as Trixtank with a nice little stun. Not going to hit, though.
No, the wall's not going to connect. However, Neith is now rotated here as well, so going to pressure a tier 2 tower. The members of Bipolar Method are on the way back, but look at the chipping away at this tower they've already done. Funballer turns up, and Repikas still tanking away. They're looking for a poke on Trix. Going to force out his ultimate for now. This tier 2 is getting lower, and now comes in Zyrhoes too. They want more here, the Cringe Crew. Forcing Trix out, forced to meditate as well. And now they look at Lawbster, who's been left alone as the rest of his team disengage. Qvo turns up trying to support, but it's too late for Lawbster. He already falls, and Trixtank is now going to get rafted by by Repikas, which sets up Kero for another kill.
Man, this Freya on Shaggyshenk right now is just putting in work, and now with Zyrhoes here, the heals coming from EmilZy, they're going to be able to get a left side Phoenix at the 20-minute mark.
And Qvo's under pressure here, being forced out by Shaggy again. Shaggy just boxing away to safety. He may fall down, no, going to take to the sky in time, and he will survive to live to fight another day. They won't get the Phoenix, however, totally. They are forced off by Bipolar Method.
Great plays from Cringe Crew. They didn't lose anybody. They found the kills that they wanted. They got the primary objective under the tier 2. They wanted a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it was a very smart disengage. They're going to be licking, not even, I was going to say lick their wounds, but honestly, they came out heavily on top.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's only Repikas that's really low. I mean, Shaggyshenk as well, but they could have both sustained up. There's nothing for them to really worry about in the jungle in terms of being lost here. Obviously, Repi can just swing around and get his speed buff, and this is perfect time for the Gold Fury again now. With no tier 2 tower on the left-hand side, it opens the map more for Cringe Crew to control it.
I thought Kero was going to go into Aussie after Executioner, but it's actually going to be the chin size, trying to be able to shred these tanky targets. Looking at the Isis with a Dynasty plate helmet, reinforced greaves. Obviously, Xalia's going very tanky, and you always have to worry about Trixtank.
Yeah, and the reason you see the chins coming out most of the time here as well, Tully, it's not because of, like, normally it's about raw health damage, isn't it? It ignores the amount of protections you've got, because it actually chips away your health pool, and doesn't have to be penetrated, first of all, like the likes of Executioner and Arcee.
It also gives you that attack speed to help stack up the Executioner stacks that you really want to.
Yeah, mid lane then a bit more aggression onto Trixtank, and keep an eye on Shaggyshenk, level 19, 1 level lead off Funballer, 2, 0, and 4 so far, involved in every single kill. It's not something you see out of a Freya so early, but Shaggy's really stepped up this game. I mean, he's had a good season overall, I'd say, but this game, he's taking that fight against Funballer, really. It's not something you expect from a Freya versus a Jing way.
That's what happens when you have an Athena jungle. We saw how much pressure Bipolar Method tried to exploit onto this early game Freya, but not finding it because of all the global presence, whether it's Kero's ultimate in mid, whether it's Repikas coming in from the jungle, as well as EmilZy being able to give him the sustain that he needs.
So onto Trixtank, so he's going to eat some poke. Nice Spirit Ball over the wall from Lawbster, but it won't connect, unfortunately. That wave will go down. There's a wave coming in now for Cringe Crew to look for this tier 1 tower.
Zyrhoes on the right-hand side, zoning away Xaliea. Nice sustain coming from EmilZy. Tower is eventually going to go down. Kero shooting it from the side. No body blockers from Bipolar.
In goes Repi again with the taunt, but this time Trix was ready for it. Xaliea gets hit. Qvo to the back, hits 3 with the Typhoon, but forced out again before the walls drop, and Zyrhoes was waiting. Lawbster's the focus target, and Shaggy gets credit for the kill with the ult. In comes Athena as well, gonna look for the dunk down after the root, and it's on to Trixtank, who's forced out again. Xaliea now trying to beat down the front line and keep him busy, but Repikas gets a 3-man taunt, followed by the root from the Neith. Crush comes through, Repi gets a double kill. It's a triple kill for a Guardian jungle.
But they're not done yet. Shaggyshenk, he's trying to go for the kill, forcing out the ultimate from Funballer. World Weaver gonna connect. It's gonna be a deicide after this tier 2 tower. They should easily get this Phoenix. It's gonna be a surrender.
Quadra kill from Repikas in the jungle, and Bipolar Method say, get me out.
That's Bipolar Method's second loss of the split, only losing once to energy. That was impressive play from Cringe Crew.
That was amazing. That was so good. Shaggy stepped up and actually did his own work. He got a lot of support in the early game, I'd say.
Absolutely.
And then Repikas, those taunts just really came online over and over again, taunting the mid lane. And not just that, you've got a Terra with you as well, that you find the taunts, then you stun them, then you root them. It's so hard to get through.
Double stuns, double roots from Cringe Crew. Overall, great composition. You saw Zyrhoes going ham whenever he needed to. He had a really nice cleanup kill in that early stages, which allowed for an easy Gold Fury. A very unfortunate reset of the Gold Fury from Bipolar Method, which allowed Cringe Crew to really capitalize.
Well, the funny thing about that, guys at home, so you know, Cringe Crew needs to 2-0 this to actually climb in the standings. And coming into this, you didn't really think they had a real shot of it. After that last game, they really do.
That was so impressive. It was more about their picks and bans than their individual play style. They were able to protect this weak Freya in the early game, allow her to get to that late game form. We saw him have Shaggyshenk have 10,000 gold around the 20-minute mark, having his items that he needed to. And with the initiation between Terra and the Athena, that's all the room you really need for this late game Freya.
Do you ban Freya this game?
I ban Athena.
You ban Athena?
Yeah. You ban Athena, because then if Cringe Crew have Athena, then the Silings are completely protected by that ultimate.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's see.